Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of Meet the Candidates. I am your host, Kesha Hoey, and in our studios today we have another candidate from the 34th District State Representative seat, Chris Delmorone. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you. The election is going to be on August 6th. You're running for, the 34th District.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been a resident of Flint?
Well, I've been a resident continuously in Flint now since 1996. A little more background on myself. I'm 52 years old. I've lived in the Flint area or Genesee County my entire life. I'm a graduate of the University of Michigan Flint with a bachelor's degree in business administration, and I'm a member of Local 1292 UAW in Grand Blanc, where I work at a General Motors plant out there, the Weld Tool Center. And some of my additional background over the years, I've sold real estate and held a number of previous jobs.
Okay. Well, do you have any religious affiliations? Do you associate yourself with any religious things in the city?
Yes, I'm a member of St. John Vianney Catholic Church here in Flint, Michigan on Bagley Street. I'm a lector there. I've been a lector there now for 20 years, reading at masses, as the schedule comes up.
Okay.
I'm on a co-ed softball team, which has brought many different groups together, different faith groups together,
okay.
Here in the Flint area through the IMA.
Okay.
And that's a really exciting thing, just to see people from throughout the city and their different backgrounds
Right.
and beliefs.
Yeah, that has to be interesting. You've only been in Flint a short time. Where did you live before that?
Well, like I said, always in Genesee County,
Okay.
Mount Morris Township.
That's okay.
High school was Hamady High School. Grade school was over on North Saginaw Street at St. Francis there, which is going back quite a few years.
Okay.
But,
Well, would you say you have had any mentors, anyone that you follow during the time?
as far as in the political realm, no. I've always kind of watched politics and, kind of asked myself, well, gee, it certainly should be easier than what it is.
Yeah.
Especially as we look back at last year's budget, let me call them negotiations in our state legislature.
Okay.
But,
Okay. Well, Brenda Clack is who the candidate will be replacing. She has a 3-year term limit. That's why she's not running again. We're going to assume that. How successful do you think her tenure was?
I believe it was successful. She was there 6 years, 3 2-year terms.
Okay.
Some of her focuses have been on crime, and also with just it's relevant to crime. I mean, just with the killings and having groups come together and just recognize the problem of how much crime is in our city here. So I applaud her on that. Also, her legislation, which I believe she authored in regards to banning smoking in the workplace.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be very important. That's a lot of talk about that legislation coming up. How do you feel about that legislation?
Well, I looked at that legislation, which was actually banning smoking in all workplaces. It was allowed in some places, bars and restaurants. I looked at that legislation not as infringing upon smokers' rights, but protecting the health of the employees that work there. Obviously, customers have a choice where they want to go to eat or have a beverage, but most often the workers don't have a choice, and it's the workers that need to be protected. We protect workers in different occupational settings throughout our community in regards to paint fumes and other toxic substances.
Right.
So I equate that with a workers' protection bill.
Okay. What made you decide to run for this election? There's a lot of things going on, especially at the local level. We're having a lot of budget crises going on, even in the state of Michigan, with the last budget issue last year. Why run for this office at this point?
Well, I decided to run for this office looking at the problems that are in Flint and also in our state. And then I looked at my background, and I believe my background can help solve some of the problems that are going on in Flint and in Michigan. We know about the mortgage crisis that's going on in Flint and throughout our nation. I have a background in real estate sales. We know about the blight in our area. I sit on the Citizens Board of Advisors with the Genesee County Land Bank, so we've been able to have some input to the Board of Directors of the Land Bank. And
okay. So what makes you different from these other candidates? We have Eleazar Bazard, he's one of the candidates. Woodrow Stanley, he's coming from the county commissioner seat. And also, I'm understanding Richard Dix Jr. has thrown his hat in the race also. What distinguishes you from those candidates?
well, in regards to, I know two of the candidates have run for office before, at least one of them have been elected to office before for many years. I believe I can bring to the table a different set of eyes, a different viewpoint to help solve our problems here in Flint and in the state of Michigan. Again, the mortgage crisis, my real estate sales background. I also sit on the facilities planning committee for the Flint School Board. And in that, we're looking at criteria that the school board needs to consider in regards to schools that they will keep open or close. We do not make this decision as to which ones will close, but we know there's a problem with our schools, things that go on in the schools, and also the fact that we have too many schools here in Flint. And I think as Flint needs to downsize, let me use that word, the number of schools we have to be more competitive to attract more students to our schools. And as funding is, let me say, dwindling or not increasing as much as school personnel would like it, we need to look at those things, and I think some of that background helps.
Okay. Now, with the education aspect, is there any legislation that you're going to propose to address the dropout rate in the city?
I think one of the things that should be considered in regards to the dropout is students tend to drop out in the ninth grade. Generally, it's about the age that they can drop out, and those problems happen actually, or the reasons that they drop out are because of things that have happened prior to the ninth grade. Okay. One thing is we could look at raising the age for acquiring a driver's license, which may prompt more students to stay in school. Right. In the ninth grade, they're reaching 15, 16 years old, and they're looking, they drop out for a variety of reasons.
Right. So you figure that if you increase the age that they can get their driver's license, they may prompt them to stay in school longer, or maybe even the age of dropout. Do you think that would help as well?
The age of dropout, yes, but then you run into a problem of students being in the classroom who do not want to be there, who are disruptive. The proposal to raise the driving age would not be for those who are in school, but it would be